Pascal said, "All history is one immortal man who continually learns." So, if history is distorted or incomplete, the immortal man doesn't learn anything of value. The history we're taught doesn't reveal the whole truth and distorts our collective memory. We live in such times of great confusion, social malice, and even collective psychosis because our perception of reality is inaccurate, one-sided, and doesn't reveal some critical information because such knowledge threatens the stability of the Dark Empire. However, this knowledge cannot be suppressed. By the end of this video, you'll have a new understanding of the hidden history and the chronicles of the super intelligent extraterrestrials who tinkered with our biological and cultural evolution. Though the Old Testament is the canonical text of the Western world, it's not entirely an original text. Many stories in the Bible share similarities with more ancient myths. Modern archaeological findings have proven that the Bible tells many stories that were told long before Judaism and Christianity. For example, the story of Noah and the flood is strikingly similar to the Epic of Gilgamesh. The hymns from the epic tell about ancient times when gods walked among men. This ancient text recounts the story of how the gods flood the earth in order to destroy humankind. But wise King Utnapishtim is warned by the god of wisdom and water, Ea. So Utnapishtim builds an ark to save himself, his family, and various animals. It sounds strikingly similar to a later adaptation with different mythological figures and names. Another example is the many similarities that Jesus Christ and Greek god Dionysus share, such as associations with wine, resurrection, and persecution by the authorities. What's even more interesting in these archaeological findings is the fact that they show how the people who wrote and edited the Bibles we all read today were not only influenced by those ancient stories, but they also changed a lot and left many things out. The Roman Catholic Church, which still has a stronghold over the world, was famous for its inquisitions where they burned and tortured anyone who disagreed with their version of the Bible. Secret societies and occult communities formed as a reaction to this. They had to be occult to stay away from the prosecution of the Dark Empire. We have to remember that the empire only adopted Christianity to suppress civil unrest caused by the early Christians. Those still carried the rebellious spirit of Jesus Christ and were not afraid to die or be tortured like him. The Roman Empire adopting Christianity was a strategic move because they realized they can't beat these Christians who multiply every year, so they joined them. This is one of the oldest tricks. If you can't beat them, join them. Then you can take over from the inside. You can call it the Judas tactics. So that's how the Roman Empire twisted Christianity. Those early Christians had some radically different beliefs than Roman Catholicism, Protestantism, and Eastern Orthodoxy. They were known as the Gnostics, which is Greek for those knowledgeable, or the knowledgeable ones. One of the most striking aspects of Gnostic theology is their rejection of the Old Testament God, YAHWEH. According to the Gnostics, this God was not the true God of the universe, but rather a fool and a blind, arrogant being who created the material world and trapped humanity within it. This creator is referred to as the Demiurge. The Nag Hammadi Library, discovered in Upper Egypt in 1945, contained a collection of Gnostic texts that had been hidden away for centuries. These texts include the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, and the Apocryphon of John, among others. They provide a unique window into the beliefs and practices of the Gnostics who lived during the times when Christianity was a young religion. Many Gnostics have direct links to Yeshua ben Yosef, Jesus Christ. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The farther we dive into these subjects, the more we realize there are many layers. And of course, aliens had something to do with everything at a certain point. Maybe the Bible was referring to gods, not just one God. In fact, the Jewish Old Testament makes the use of the plural form of God, Elohim, in the passage that describes humanity's creation in the image of God, referred to as our image. And maybe these aren't the gods that created the universe. They are powerful beings from another galaxy with highly advanced knowledge and hyperdimensional technology. As it turns out, modern archaeology is also pointing towards that direction. For almost most of the history of mankind, we lived in hunter-gatherer societies. However, suddenly civilizations started to emerge out of nowhere, and those civilizations had highly advanced societies, even technologies. When you really think about how the pyramids were built, only advanced technology can explain many things. This is something that fascinates even Egyptologists who still cannot explain the hidden secrets of the pyramids. It seems like there was some divine intervention at a certain point in history that brought us to where we are right now. This divine intervention, or shall we call it extraterrestrial intervention, according to the ancient astronaut theory, explains how humanity transitioned from hunter-gatherers to civilized cities with architectures, customs, and intricate social hierarchies very quickly from an evolutionary perspective. First, let's start with a very interesting story, the Enuma Elish, which is the oldest story we've ever discovered. The Enuma Elish was discovered by archaeologist Austin Henry Layard in the mid-19th century during his excavation of the ancient city of Nineveh, modern-day Iraq. The Enuma Elish is an ancient Mesopotamian creation myth that describes the origin of the universe and the struggle for power among the gods. They're known as the Anunnaki. The story goes that Apsu, the father god, grew increasingly annoyed with the noise made by the younger gods, who were his descendants. Apsu, being the god of fresh water, lived in the abyssal waters, which were believed to be the source of all life in Mesopotamian mythology. Apsu felt that the younger gods were disrupting his peaceful existence, so he planned to kill them all. However, Tiamat, his consort and the goddess of the salt water, intervened and convinced him to spare their lives. But the younger gods continued to cause chaos, and Apsu's anger grew once more. This time, Tiamat did not interfere, and Apsu planned a second time to kill the younger gods. However, Ea, the Anunnaki from the Epic of Gilgamesh, overheard Apsu's plan and decided to take action. He put Apsu into a deep sleep and then killed him. This angered Tiamat, who then decided to take revenge on the younger Anunnaki, leading to a great battle between the two sides. The young Anunnaki, who were led by the warrior Marduk, engaged in battle with Tiamat's army and ultimately defeated her. Marduk becomes the supreme Anunnaki, and his victory is celebrated in a great ceremony. The Anunnaki then created humanity to serve them, and Marduk sets up the heavens and the earth in their proper places. The story concludes with the hymn of praise to Marduk for his great deeds. In Babylonian mythology, Marduk was the patron god of Babylon, and his cult became increasingly important during the reign of Hammurabi in the 18th century BCE. Remember that this is the most ancient civilization in history, according to archaeology. But who are these Anunnaki? The word Anunnaki simply means those connected to the stars, or those coming from heaven. They are beings that came from heaven to earth, according to ancient texts. The more we learn about these godlike beings from heaven, with magical powers, the more we connect the dots and start thinking of super intelligent extraterrestrials with highly advanced technology. Since the scientific findings cannot be refuted about the age of the universe being 100% more than 6,000 years old, then these extraterrestrials didn't create the universe, planet Earth, or us. However, they might have tinkered with our DNA at some point. Thus, mankind evolved very quickly from primitive hominids to being capable of building civilizations, understanding the universe more profoundly, and creating advanced technology. We're actually too advanced technologically now. We might just become like the Anunnaki and visit other nearby planets with life to tinker with their biology and accelerate their evolution just like these Anunnaki did to us. Isn't space exploration essentially about that? When you actually think about it, what's really the reason behind our thirst for colonizing space? Is it something that the Anunnaki programmed us to be compelled to do? The Bible says, God created man in his own image. Maybe the Anunnaki, or those from heaven, intervened in our evolution to make us become like them. According to the theory, they shaped our evolution to make us resemble them. And many archaeological findings point in that direction, especially where there are pyramids. It seems like all the pyramids in the world share similar patterns. We increasingly discovered that we know little about these impossible architectures, especially the pyramids of the Giza. One of the most significant things about the three pyramids is how they're connected to astrology and astronomy. The pyramids are aligned with Orion's belt, and there are some architectural intricacies that point to the dog star Sirius. Sirius is the shiniest star in the night sky and closest star to our solar system. It's called the dog star because it's part of the dog constellation and the Orion constellation. By the way, Orion and his dog, Sirius, are the easiest constellations to spot in the night sky. So, are these super intelligent extraterrestrials with their magical technology and advanced space travel vessels telling us that they came here from Sirius? This is actually a reasonable question considering modern astronomical findings tell us that Sirius is actually a double star system. These findings only confirm what the ancient Ethiopians already knew. So how did these primitive societies know that Sirius is a double star system? Maybe they knew because that's what the Anunnaki told them. We can spend a whole week speculating about these matters. All we end up realizing is that the history we were taught is only the tip of the iceberg and doesn't answer the big questions that many archaeological findings raise. The history taught only serves as a means to make everyone think alike and not question reality, which makes us easily controllable. As a matter of fact, states and organized religious institutions are no strangers to suppressing information that doesn't serve their systems of control. We've already talked about that. An example of that is the removal of the Book of Enoch from the canonical Bible. The Book of Enoch is an ancient Jewish religious text that was written between the 3rd and 1st centuries BCE. It contains accounts of Enoch, a patriarch from the Bible who was taken into heaven by God and shown visions of the end of the world. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Book of Enoch is its discussion of the Nephilim. These were a group of giants that, according to the book, lived on earth before the Great Flood. The Nephilim were believed to be the result of the union between fallen angels, known as the Watchers, and human women. The Watchers could be interpreted as the extraterrestrial Anunnaki race. And since they tinkered with our DNA to make us resemble them, according to the theory, it's not strange that this extraterrestrial race lusted for human women and procreated with them. Maybe their descendants are still walking among us till this day. During early Christianity and Judaism, the Book of Enoch was considered to be an important religious text and was even quoted by some early church fathers. However, by the 4th century CE, the book had fallen out of favor with the Roman Church and was eventually removed from the canon of the Bible. What ushered in afterwards was the Dark Ages. The decision to remove the Book of Enoch from the Bible illustrates how organized religion and state power can shape the historical paradigm. Share your positive vibes with us by subscribing to this channel.